Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be diving into one of my favorite podcasts, the All In podcast. They did their breakdown on what they think about what's happening with GPT-4 Omni, and it's kind of some of the things and stuff they have been seeing happening in the AI world. So some categories they know we talked about, so obviously things around technology, education, and even cybersecurity. I feel like I kind of get an interesting insight of opportunity what how GPT-4 and cybersecurity can merge. So if you're ready for that, let's go ahead and dive into it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all those things and everything. Appreciate y'all. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So check it. I was listening to the All In podcast, and it's one of the best podcast stuff out there. They make some excellent points, kind of reviewing some of the things that's happening with GPT-4o, and just kind of some things and stuff that's happening in the market. So I just want to play some clips and stuff for you and everything, kind of give my feedback, give my my kind of 2 cents and stuff, if you will, there. And yeah, let's dive into it. Also, too, I'm going to be skipping around stuff a little bit too as well. And here we go.
No, but I'm saying it rarely lands on the same day. Today is the day. Today's the day.
Today's the day. Okay,
today's
good.
the day.
I think Duolingo stock took a hit during that. Most impressive, to me at least, and also I had Sandeep Madra on my other podcast, and we talked about it, was their desktop and iOS app. What this app does is fascinating. It watches your desktop on your Macintosh or on your iPad or iPhone, and it does things like adaptive learning. Here's a clip of Sal Khan from Khan Academy and his son basically using a drawing app to do some arithmetic or geometry. And it does adaptive learning and basically makes a personal coach because the app is watching his son try to solve a problem.
I'm here with my son, and I'd love you to tutor him on this math problem, but don't give him the answer. You can ask questions and nudge him in the right direction, but I really want to make sure he understands it himself. And he's here in the room, so you can talk to him directly.
Can you first identify which sides of the triangle are the opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse relative to angle alpha?
All right, so I'm pretty sure this is the angle alpha right here, right?
Perfect. That's correct. Now, looking at the triangle, which side do you think is the hypotenuse?
Really,
Remember the hypotenuse?
I'm not totally sure. I think it might be this one, but I really am not sure. This side AC.
You're close. Actually, side AC is called the adjacent side to the angle alpha. The hypotenuse is the longest side of a right triangle and is directly opposite the right angle. Can you find which one is the hypotenuse?
Oh, okay, I see. So I think the hypotenuse is this really long side from A to B. Would that be correct?
Exactly. Well done.
It can also participate in Zoom calls, explain charts, all that great stuff. And so
All right, so Khan Academy, if you're not familiar, definitely look them, up. They do education videos, and mostly kind of around like technology, software engineering, and I think they started kind of getting into other things too as well. So I think they was one of the early individuals or companies who kind of like jumped at the AI tutor aspect, and so I think very early, I had a good indication that this is kind of what it's going to head this way. If you've been to one of my workshops, you've seen me. I've done a workshop on the impact of AI in education, and so I kind of like showcase some of these things, and even some tools, stuff that I built, myself. And so, I think this is, this is excellent. And one thing I didn't know, and it's, they're showing us stuff here on the demo. There is the ability to also understand the movement on the screen, as well. And so, okay, yeah, the multimodal aspect of like the visual component, the voice and stuff too as well. I get that and everything, but understanding the movement and stuff on the screen on the iPad, this is very interesting, and because there's a lot that can happen and stuff with there. I mean, now we're talking about I can see a world of GPTs helping you learn how to draw. helping you with sketches and everything, helping you with, AutoCAD, components, helping, civil engineers with, their design, here's a big one. Oh, this is really good. Helping cybersecurity engineers understand vulnerabilities in their system designs. That would be really interesting, and I can definitely see how GPTs or how GPT-4o Omni will be able to play a role in such a thing. I mean, I think cybersecurity is one of those industries where it's just so many different openings and opportunities and stuff, and we need this, particularly within our country, to kind of like help with everything from defense to cyber crimes and financial crimes and stuff, whatever it may be. So, I mean, I think this is great and everything that I didn't know, and so this is awesome. Let's keep going here. I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit.
So it's going to be your guide on the side. It's going to be a present personality. Any thoughts after seeing it in combination with our interview? Do you think ChatGPT is running away with the consumer experience? Or do you think this is like neck and neck with some of the other players?
Not to tell tales out of school, but somebody that we all know in our group chat posted something about the fact that the consumer growth had stalled. I don't know how they knew that maybe they got some data, or maybe they're an investor. You guys know what I'm talking about. And they said that they're trying to reinvigorate growth into the consumer app at OpenAI. I mean,
any
I think this
insights as to why it might be plateauing in your perspective?
I wrote this in my annual letter, but there are these phases of growth. And when you look at like social networks as a perfect example, Friendster was magical when it was first created, right? And then you had MySpace that just ran circles around them because Friendster didn't really invest the money and the quality that it took to create a moat. And then MySpace really wasn't able to compete. So we were, Facebook, we were the 8th or 9th when we showed up on the scene, and we ran circles around everybody. I think what it means is that there are these phases of product development which exist in many markets. This market, I think, is going through the same thing. And right now we're in the first, what I would call primordial ooze phase, which is everybody's kind of like running around like a chicken with their heads cut off. There's all these core basic capabilities that are still so magical when you see them. But we all know that 5 and 10 years from now, these things will be table stakes, right? And what Freeberg just showed is a table of many companies and many trillions of market cap, all effectively running to the same destination. So I think where we are is probably within 2 years of where the basic building blocks are standardized. And then I think the real businesses get built. So I will maintain my perspective here, which is the quote unquote Facebook of AI has yet to be created.
Okay. And
so an example here is, the adoption curve, typically what happens, and it happens with pretty much every major piece of, technology. So we see right here an example is like the internet. It happened, you have this early innovation trigger where like everybody's like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. It's going to change the world. And it did. And then you kind of go into this like delusion standpoint. But like typically what happens is like when things kind of go into this down curve is that really innovation and building happens, during this time period. And so, everything from companies to organizations to developers really kind of get nuts and bolts and stuff here and really start to building. And then from there, you start kind of see at the plateau of like the maturity of that platform. So the maturity of internet, this is where you start to see your Facebooks, your Googles, and so on and so on there. Same thing happened with the cloud. It kind of goes up into this adoption rate. This expectation rate, and then kind of sort of just go down. And also, too, the same thing too happened with mobile and everything. So these are some images and everything that Menlo Ventures and stuff provided. And then one of my favorite examples that I always include is that technology typically never goes past like human adoption. And so, a graph of stuff right here we see is internet. So we kind of see like the scale of adoption for the internet, and then the example that we have is the smartphone, And then you got, the consumer side of, AI, which are open AIs and your bars, your perplexities, and so on and so on. The graph is a little bit different here. It seems like it's kind of like scaling, kind of further up and everything. It's not plateauing as of right now, like we kind of expected, like typically other technology stuff typically goes. And so, not to say that's not going to happen, but I think why this trajectory is a little bit different from the internet, the smartphone, cloud, is because on the Gen AI side, not the AI, not the complete umbrella, artificial intelligence, but on the Gen AI side, I would argue this is the first time such technology, the everyday person had the opportunity to build with it. So in the early days of the internet, you had to be ridiculously smart, nerdy, engineer, because, you're dealing with simply IP addresses. So, Amazon.com at the time was probably, to go to that website was probably like 972.446.663.29 or whatever. And then also too on the smartphone side, you had to be, a software engineer, where you're building, smartphone applications and stuff during this time. This wasn't available to the public to kind of like, kind of create their own and stuff, if you will. You had to hire, a software engineer to some component, to some degree. But with OpenAI and Bar, this is different. This is different. Now you're just, hey, you need to know English. Andre Kaparthi did a tweet a couple months ago, which is one of my favorite ones. He said the new coding language is English. So the ability to produce, set output, the entry level to produce these things is knowing the English language. So, this is it's a great time and stuff here. So let's dive back into the video here.
As ChatGPT web visits, as you can see, have plateaued. This data is similar web. I would agree with you, Chamath. It seems like the use cases and the looky-loos who are just trying this software because they heard about it, they've gone away, and then we have to find actual use cases. Sachs, I'm wondering.
It's interesting too. One of my things that I really enjoy doing. So, real quick, guys, if you don't know, I'm a software engineer by trade, but also too, I really, really enjoy teaching. So I host workshops, I do virtual workshops, and also too, now I'm starting to host, AI boot camp. So help people understand, things on the Gen AI side, to the early stage of like what it is, keywords, to even kind of like coming out with a baseline MVP for a set problem or solution. So I really enjoy the component of teaching, in these elements. And what I do find interesting is that my goal is to decrease fear, increase creativity. I think when you can do those things, at the end of a workshop, now people's mind is open. Now people are like, okay, I can try this use case. I can try to do this. Okay, can it do that? As well. And then, of course, like, some things, most people will be able to maybe like do by themselves. Sometimes, people will basically, need to hire, an engineer or somebody who is very versatile in something like Zapier or Make.com, to help with certain connections between, APIs, platforms, or whatever it may be. So, and I think it's interesting. Guys, if you want me to do my more use case videos and even build them out, definitely let me know, in the comments and so, and I can kind of I can breeze through those things.
But our friend Jason, just to kind of complete the thought, said something about the premium conversion, right? That's what he said. I don't know how he knows that. But
Paid version.
Well,
paid version.
So to be clear, paid versus free. And then what Sam said on the podcast last week was, it seems like whenever they come out with something new, the old stuff becomes free. In my talk with Sunny this week, he mentioned that these new models are so much more efficient that you actually can throw the old model in the garbage. Because it's so inefficient. And these are now becoming about 90% cheaper every year, which means every 2 years, these things are going to be 99% cheaper and better.
Yep.
And it might
Pretty
be that
amazing, huh?
OpenAI, Sachs, on a strategic level, is going to make all this free or close to free and maybe just charge for a multiplayer version. That seems to be where it's heading. You don't have to log in to use 3.5. You don't have to log in to use Google. No, you do have to log in still on Google services, but I think these are going to just be free. So on a product basis, what are your thoughts? And then maybe you could talk about free to pay. Do you think everybody in the world is going to pay 20, 30, 40 bucks, 500 a year, 200 a year to have one of these? Or are they just going to all be free?
Well, I think you're assuming there that the long-term business model of OpenAI is in B2C subscriptions. And I think that's probably the least attractive business model they have available to them. It's sort of the first one and the most obvious one because they put out ChatGPT and then it's pretty easy just to roll out a premium version. But in my experience, B2C subscriptions, it's just not a very attractive business model because consumers just aren't willing to pay a lot and they have high churn rates and there's no possibility of expansion really. So I suspect they're going to move in more of a B2B direction over time because that's where the real money is. And probably the way they do that is by monetizing all the apps that are built on top of it. And I think that in that sense, GPT-4o is a really important innovation. By the way, the O stands for Omni, which I think stands for omni-channel. I think you may have said omnivore.
Well,
which is kind of funny too.
Yes, it's
okay.
Omni, which means all the different media types currently coming all the way. Okay, let's keep. Thank you, Sachs.
Bada bing.
Is this thing up?
Did you write that ahead of time, or
I was in the moment?
That was good.
Just one point on that is there are a whole bunch of startups out there that were creating virtual customer support agents. And they've been spending the last couple of years working on trying to make those agents more conversational, quicker, more responsive. I think their product roadmaps just became obsolete. Now, that's not to say there isn't more work for them to do in workflow in terms of integrating the AI with customer support tools and doing that last mile of customizing the model for the vertical specific problems of customer support. But my guess is that hundreds of millions of dollars of R&D just went out the window. And probably this is the best time to be creating a customer support agent company. If you're doing it 2 years ago, 5 years ago, your work has just been obsoleted.
That is...
So I couldn't agree more. Number one, we've built definitely some customer focused AI agents. So one of the ones that we built is for a neurologist's office is an AI phone agent. And so it's interesting too, because what month is this, May? 8 months ago, it was way more difficult than it is now, which is crazy. I mean, one of the things that we was having trouble with is latency. And so then you have tools like blind AI, or retail AI that, helps you with the latency part of those things. And now we have the privilege of just kind of focusing on integrations, kind of like fine tuning the agent's directions, or creating our own custom large language model, for a set office or, for a set use case. And then from there, you can start to get very, very, very creative. I think one of the biggest opportunities that we're kind of trending towards, is, I talked about in my last video of how this is kind of the year of the agent. I would do comma, or are they the same? I would do comma functions. So functions is basically being components that you can integrate, within your GPTs, or your agents and things like that. So for example, we built some GPTs that they can summarize your Gmail, accounts or anything, or the email stuff you got for the day. But also too, you can build functions inside of GPTs that can make phone calls and things like that. So, going back to the AI phone agent, the ability from there to then do anything from exporting, Excel, CSV, information, doing, you do summarizations, you can update calendars and stuff in real time. You know, somebody calls like, hey, sorry, I got to cancel. Can we reschedule? You know, a lot of these things and a lot of these components can be completely automated. Now, of course, yes, it definitely takes some work and they get these things done. But I mean, this is a brand new world. This is so exciting. And I mean, not to mention, you know, too as well. I mean, think about a mom and pop shop that is a bakery, you know, or a bakery where, you know, it's 3 family members in there, you know, working 12 hours a day, and they can't even get to the phone lines because, you know, they're next to the oven or taking care of the customer stuff, you know, that's in front of them, and being able to deliver an AI phone agent to, you know, that small business where, you know, it takes over the phone lines, answer calls, answer basic questions, takes orders, and then from there, boom, just send it to their POS system. You know, even taking payments and stuff over the phone or sending them to a link or anything, you know, so for the customer can review, you know, the order to pay, you know, via text message, you know, via email, you know, like whatever it may be. Like, I mean, this is endless and everything. So, I think also too, during you know, sometime in this channel as well, I'll show you guys how to build, you know, a lot of these things, you know, using, you know, tools like Zapier and Make.com and, you know, different other components and stuff, you know, so, you know, you guys kind of know, you know, what's possible and stuff here. So, you know, again, I mean, my goal stuff here is to, you know, decrease fear and increase creativity. And the more creative you guys get and everything and knowledge, you know, you get, the more I, you know, get. So you guys can come up with 1,000 different use cases I would just never think about, you know, because everybody has their own individual lives and, you know, workflow and business and things like that. And so I'm excited to share and see what you guys come up with. And so, yeah, I mean, I just kind of want to kind of review these topics and these things. We definitely check out the All In podcast. I mean, it's one of the best podcasts and stuff out there. And so, but I think, you know, a lot of times they definitely have sensational, you know, content, you know, even with, you know, especially within, you know, topics like artificial intelligence, which, you know, this entire channel and stuff is about. So, and with that being said, guys, definitely subscribe, comment, like, if you guys, let me know if you want to hear some of these use cases, build out these use cases, let me know in the comments, and until next time, we out.